Good morning, class. I am going to do a quick video for you that you can watch and rewatch as needed to help you understand Lesson 9. Your first priority today is to make sure you have completed and that you understand Lesson 8, all the things that I asked you to do last week. And then hopefully that's already done. Tomorrow in class, we're going to finish Lesson 8, and then we'll have a quiz on Thursday, is the plan. But I need to go ahead and move on so we don't fall further behind. So let's look at Lesson 9. I'm not going to read this word for word. This is in your textbook, and I've just copied it here on the screen for you to see. But you have your Latin saying, amor vincit omnia, love conquers all things, and that actually is attributed to the Roman poet Virgil. What you have here are review words that are adjectives. You have your first and second declension adjectives here on the top. You've had all these before. And you have your third declension adjectives here. Again, you've had all of these before. And you have your first and second person possessive pronoun adjectives here. So you've had all of these before. I want to talk about this just for a minute before I get into the main part of this lesson. Please know that, excuse me, please know that adjectives have to take the gender of whatever noun they're modifying. So adjectives can be divided into two categories. All Latin adjectives either belong here in what we would call first and second declension adjectives, or here in what we would call third declension adjectives. First and second declension adjectives will always decline in either the first or the second declension. If they're feminine, okay, for example, you've got the word ager here, which means sick, okay? If I'm talking about a sick queen, Regina, well, Regina is feminine, so I have to use the first declension feminine form, which would be here, agra, because that's the feminine form. If I'm talking about a sick servant, then servus is masculine, I have to use the masculine form, which is here. And if I'm talking about a sick kingdom, regnum, well, regnum is neuter, so I have to use the neuter form, which is here. We will practice adjective declension in a minute. But remember, again, adjectives agree with the noun they're modifying in case, number, and gender, not declension in case, number, and gender. That means if I'm talking about the sick queen and queen is the subject, I'm going to use nominative. If I'm talking about the sick queen, but the queen happens to be the direct object, like I hit the sick queen, then sick is going to have to be in the accusative case. We'll practice all this when we get back. I'm just trying to get this back in your mind. Third declension adjectives look like this. The same concept applies. You will never decline a third declension adjective as a first and second declension adjective. They will always decline as a third declension adjective, even if the noun they modify is another declension. If I'm talking about the short queen, okay, then I'm going to use a form of brevis with a form of Regina, okay? And these are going to decline like third declension nouns, and I'll show you that here in just a minute. Here are your possessive pronouns, my, meus, mea, meum, your, our, noster, nostra, nostrum, and your plural, vester, vestral, vestrum. I'm sorry, this was our. So just get these back in your mind. We're going to go over these in detail when we get back to school. We're going to review these pretty significantly. But again, just get these back in your head. Know what these are when you see them. New vocabulary. You need to be working on these. Obviously, you've got to know all these. These are all old words that you need to have mastered. These are new adjectives. Because they are adjectives, that tells me they are first and second declension adjectives. So let's look at these with me. We have albus, which is white. Colors are adjectives because they're describing a noun. We get the English word albino from this. We have almus, which is nurturing. You've already seen this in a Latin saying, in alma mater, nurturing mother. You just see the feminine form of it with alma instead of the masculine form, almus. Calidus, which means warm or hot. Note the English derivatives: calorie, cauldron, calidarium. A calidarium is an ancient furnace, just what they would have during the times of the Romans, an ancient heating system. Deficus, tired or weary. There's no derivative. However, I would imagine the word deficit probably came from this, which means you're lacking something. So I think, okay, deficit, I'm lacking, well, I'm lacking energy. Deficus, tired or weary. Excelsus, you've heard your whole life probably. This is on high or lofty. We get the English words excel or excelsis from that. Ferus, we get is wild or fierce. The English word feral, which means wild. Fadus is how we would pronounce this being a diphthong here, the OE. So fadus means foul, ugly, or hideous. Memorize all definitions, not just one of them, as you go. Frigidus, easy enough, cold. Refrigerator, frigid, we get from this word. Nefarius is wicked. Nefarious is an English word meaning wicked. Stultus means foolish or stupid, and we get the English word stolid or stultify from that. So memorize this new vocabulary. And again, I'm going through this quickly. I just want to explain this. You can go back and re-listen to this video as many times as you need. But as some new grammar, or again, this is a little bit of review, adjectives in Latin, as they are in English, can be used as nouns. And let's talk about what this means. Let's look at bullet number 2 here. In English, if an adjective is used as a noun, it's going to have an article with it. But we don't have articles in Latin. So let's look at some examples in English. The poor you have with you always. Jesus says this in the Bible. Well, poor, I guess you could say, is an adjective. If I say poor, pitiful me, or the poor person, that's describing something. So that is an adjective. But if I just use it alone, the poor you have with you always, well, that's a noun. It's an adjective used as a noun. Look at this, the good, the bad, and the ugly. These are all adjectives: the good person, the bad person, the ugly person. But in this case, the good, the bad, and the ugly are used talking about groups of people. So in this case, they're used as nouns. They can also be a possessive pronoun, as on the book, on the Statue of Liberty, or written on the Statue of Liberty. Give me, you're tired, you're poor. Okay, so these are adjectives used as nouns. It doesn't say, give me your tired people. If people were written here, then tired would be an adjective. But since we don't have the word people, it's a noun. Latin doesn't have articles to help us to know that the adjective is being used as a noun. So we just have to look at the context, and this will take time to understand. So Latin uses the masculine or the neuter plural adjective to designate a class of people or things. Let me say that again. Latin will use the masculine or the neuter plural form of an adjective to designate a group of people or things. For example, in English, fortune aids the brave. Okay, the brave in this case, brave is an adjective, but it's being used as a noun. So note here that it's going to use the masculine plural form of this adjective, fortes. Instead of fortis, it's going to use the masculine plural form, fortes. You're not going to remember all this at one time. I'm going to reteach it at school, but if we have future virtual days on this lesson, I need you to listen to this lesson again and again until you get this. Note this, many desire money. It's assumed he's talking about many people, but people will not appear in the translation. So we're going to have multi pecuniam, capium. Note that multi is the masculine plural form of the adjective being used as a noun to designate a class of people or things. Multa cupit. He desires many things. You're not going to see the word things in Latin. Anytime you see the word many in Latin and there's no noun to go with it, you've got to determine, are we talking about people or things? It's almost always going to be one of the two things. So he desires many, well, much, many things. Note they use multa, which is the neuter plural form of the adjective to designate a class of things. So that's what we mean with using the masculine or the neuter plural form of an adjective to designate a class of people or things. Now, this last example you will see often in our Latin workbook, and you'll also see it next year when you read the Gallic Wars. Caesar often uses the plural of noster. Well, what's noster? Right here. Noster means our. It's the first person possessive pronoun adjective. But Caesar often uses the plural of noster, which is nostri, to mean our men. I want you to remember this because you're going to see it often. So nostri fortiter pugnat would be translated into English, our men. You're not going to see the word men anywhere in Latin. It's assumed because this was something Caesar did in his writings. Our men fought or fight bravely. This is present tense. Fight bravely. Again, I'm going through this quickly, but you can stop, rewind it, pause it, go back as many times as you need to. What I need you to complete before tomorrow is the grammar in your workbook on page 67. If you don't have your workbook, copy it. I'm giving you the answers right here. I'm sorry, folks. I'm still recovering myself. Excuse me. You can pause this and literally copy the answers so you have them to study. Much of this is review, but I need the grammar section completed in your workbook. I will give you a grade on this workbook portion tomorrow. So if you are sick today, I understand. You just let me know tomorrow. But if you're not sick today, this is due tomorrow. And I need you to get this done. So there they are. Pause it. Get these answers copied. I'm giving you the answers so that you have them to study because you need this grammar to be successful in what we're doing. Your Latin saying, please write it once. I don't need 3 times, but please write it once in English, once in Latin. I do not need you to copy vocabulary words. I don't need you to do that, but let's look at declensions. This is good practice for you, even to help you with lesson 8. I'm sorry the page got cut off, but this is at the bottom of page 68 in your workbook. Listen carefully as I go over this. It is asking you to decline piger, pigra, pigrum. Well, I'm giving you the answers, so you're going to decline something else. And forgive me, I forgot what I asked you to decline. It's in my email. I gave you another word that is exactly the same form as piger. So if you'll follow what I'm doing here, you will just decline the word I gave you in the email here instead of piger. But please understand, piger is an adjective. It's a first and second declension adjective. How do I know? Because it's aum. An us aum or an aum adjective is always first, second declension. So if it's masculine, it's declined like this. Find the masculine side. You will decline it exactly the way you would any second declension masculine noun. This just happens to be an ER noun, so instead of ending in us, it starts with ER. So look, ER, E, O, O. E, orum, is, os, is. Note that piger drops the E out of the stem, so piger, pigri, pigro, pigrum, pigro. Pigri, pigrorum, pigris, pigros, pigris. If it happens to be a feminine adjective, meaning this means lazy, meaning I'm talking about the lazy queen, then I have to make it feminine. Look at the endings. You've known these for years. A, a, a. You do it just like you would Mensa, any first declension noun. A, is, us, is. If it is a neuter adjective, if I'm talking about the lazy kingdom, then I have to decline it as a second declension neuter noun. E, o, a, is, is. Remember the neuter rule. Nominative and accusative are the same. Nominative and accusative plural end in a. Now, whatever, and again, forgive me, I forgot what word I asked you to decline here, but it's in the email. Do it just like this. Practice it. First and second declension adjectives uses first and second declension endings. Now, third declension adjectives. The example I'm giving you here is fatulis. I believe in the email I've asked you to do fidelis, but you're going to do it just like this. Hear me carefully. This does not have to be confusing. Third declension has two sets of endings. Masculine and feminine are the same. It doesn't matter if it's masculine or feminine. The endings are the same. Unlike up here, where you have three different endings for all three genders, third declension adjectives, masculine and feminine endings are the same. Okay? I don't like the way they did this chart, so be careful. Up here, they've got masculine, feminine, neuter, singular, masculine, feminine, neuter, plural. Down here, they've got masculine and feminine together, neuter together. So I wish they would have done them the same way. Just make sure you're understanding what's under the columns. So masculine and feminine endings. Think about a regular third declension noun. Third declension does not have a nominative ending that is the same for every word. Think about what I mean. Pater ends in er. Rex ends in x. Pace ends in es. It can be anything. So we don't have, and whatever the word is what you write down in the nominative. I'm going to say that one more time. Whatever the word is what you write down in the nominative. And then you decline it like a third declension noun. Blank, is, em, and then we have the letter I. And I need to explain this. When you are declining third declension adjectives, you're going to decline them like an I stem neuter at times. Actually, let me say that differently. Let me say this differently. When you're declining a third declension adjective, treat it like an I stem. Okay? The ablative is going to change to the letter I. And then in the genitive plural, you're going to add a letter I to the ending. Instead of it's eum. I'm going to say that again. You're going to decline it like you would an I stem noun. All right? The ablative singular is going to have a letter I in it, just like here. And then the genitive plural is going to have an I in the ending as well. So let's look at these endings quickly. Blank, because it can be anything, and it's whatever the word is. Is, em, ace, eum, ebus, ace, ebus. One more time. Blank, whatever the word is. Is, em, ace, eum, ebus, ace, ebus. Okay, keep that in mind. All right? And whatever the word, I believe it was fidelis, that I give you, you're going to do it just like that. Okay? So, if you need another word to go by, the word mare in your book on page 119 is the only example of an I stem neuter noun that we have. Unfortunately, third declension adjectives decline like a third declension I stem neuter. Okay, so this will be exactly like mare. Now, if I'm talking about, if I have a neuter subject, a neuter noun, then I have to decline this in the neuter. All right, again, in the back of your book on 119, this is going to follow the I stem neuter pattern. Remember the neuter rule. Nominative and accusative are the same. Nominative and accusative plural end in a. Hear me carefully. The only difference in these neuter endings and in these masculine feminine endings are what the neuter rule changes. That should be nothing new to you because it's the same thing up here. You've known this for years. The only difference in second declension, masculine and neuter, is what the neuter rule changes. Nominative and accusative are the same. Nominative and accusative plural end in A. So note that these are nouns or nouns in the second declension. Third declension, adjectives. Third declension adjectives are typically going to be is in the masculine feminine and a in the neuter. So facile has to end in this letter here is what you write here. Facile, and then follow the normal endings. Is, e, nominative, accusative are the same, so it's going to be the letter e again. And then I here. So a, is, e, a, e. A, ebus, ebus. Nominative and accusative plural end in a. Watch this as many times as you need. You don't have to do it 800 times today, but you do need to have gone through this lesson one more time. Make sure you do the grammar. Make sure you decline the 2 words that I gave you in the email, and that's the only writing you have to do for me. And then you can review this video in the days ahead as needed. Thank you.